Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 504. My name is John Morgan, and cold coffee is with me. And the coffee's just a little extra cold this week here in Las Vegas. I'm telling you, man, it's wintertime, bro. I know for you Ohio native, you're chilling in here. You know, you're good. Well, in fact, you're wearing a T-shirt right now, and I got like a hoodie on, but zipped up to the top.
It's funny you say that. I'd made some lunch earlier, and I took this off, and I was just down to like my wife beater underneath. But then I was like, I feel like I've done that before when John's came around. I was like, let me just put my fucking shirt back on. I literally had less on than this before you came up.
That's amazing. No, it's freezing outside. We got like fall is gone. We got winter. It's like I think it was like 40 degrees this morning. I mean, I know for a lot of people in the country that's not, or all over the world for that matter, it's not really that cold.
Yeah.
But for me, it's freezing.
Soft. Just soft.
I am a little bit soft. You know what? Not only am I soft, I'm old. You know what today is? Today is my 17th wedding anniversary.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Appreciate it. We're both as shocked that we made it this far as anybody.
I was like,
you know what I mean?
I feel like I have to send her a gift to thank her for keeping you for so long.
Neither one of us. We both like, man, putting up with you for that long. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, I've been putting up with you for that long, and it's like, yeah, that's true. Whichever way you look at it, we've both been putting up with each other for a while.
Yeah. Any big plans?
No, not much. All right. So I fell victim, and I know better. I'm old enough and I'm wise enough. I knew better, but my wife, she does like some tutoring, and Wednesdays is when she does most of her tutoring. She tries to line it up all in one night so she can just kind of knock it out, and kind of a little part-time gig or whatever. And so when she started talking about our anniversary coming up, she was like, "Hey, our anniversary, a couple weeks." Yeah, I know. She's like, but like I'm working that night, because I'm doing my tutoring and stuff. So like we probably really can't do anything. So can't really do anything at all for it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm like, you got your tutoring, you got your schedule.
Yep.
It's fine. We'll do something on the weekend or whatever. It's all good. And she was like, all right. But today, I got the, I knew better.
Just you described it right there. I was like, oh God, he better make some plans.
We're gonna do that as soon as we wrap up this podcast. We're gonna go make some plans. We're gonna figure some things out.
Is it just gonna be you two?
But kid will be around too. Eli's around too.
Yeah, but he's also at that age. I bet you guys could leave him and just do like the because when you two go out on your own, I know it's different because I've seen the pics and I've seen you guys both have your glasses of wine and you have a little fun. I would pick a place that if you had to pivot and pick him, but I would plan for just you two. Make it because you got a reminder that it was about you guys in the first place.
You're right. And
because your boy's old enough now, too.
He can stay on his own. Yeah, he's 12 and a half now.
And it's not like he doesn't have like games and music and like whatever.
Just bought an Xbox yesterday.
Another one?
No, I had a PS5 before.
Yeah.
I bought an Xbox yesterday.
Bought the other platform?
So So now I have both. I bought an Xbox yesterday because but for a reason. Now
because it's a Blu-ray player. That's what I used to justify. I was like, it's a Blu-ray player.
No, I don't
think.
I think this one's digital only. To be honest, I didn't even look at that. I think they're only digital now.
Well, I don't
right?
even think they're making. Who's giving out Blu-ray DVDs? Who's using DVDs anymore these days? Nobody. Which is I was about to go off on a random tangent. You finish it, and I'll see if I can remember this.
Well, it's funny because my wife was about to ask me if she could throw away all the DVDs I have. And in fairness, like I do have a lot of DVDs.
You have MMA DVDs.
The MMA DVDs, I don't want her to get rid of. Some of that stuff's not. But I do have some like movies and stuff. But what I do have is I have a lot of like concert DVDs and music DVDs. And I was like, do not get rid of those.
I was like, give them to me.
You can't find those anywhere. You know what I mean? Like movies you can download anywhere. But I have a bunch of like concerts and stuff. But anyway, so look, I've been trying to encourage my kid that one of the career I was trying to give him some potential career path options, right? Yeah. And one of them I gave him was pilot.
Player?
Professional gamer. I'm like, bro, do you see how much money's in gaming these days? No.
For some.
There is for some.
Which is so crazy.
No, but one of the things I said was an attorney, a lawyer. I'm like, it's not the sexiest job maybe. I'm like, but every industry needs them, and you can work in whatever field you want, and you can be well compensated for it. And I was like, and I know you like to argue and prove people wrong, so like you're just
Where did he get that from?
Yeah, just like just like me.
Exactly. Well, ain't just you. He's his parents' kid. He's his parents' kid.
Yeah, no question about it. But that was one. he didn't really, that wouldn't really light his world on fire, but it's out there. But I was like, another one, man. I was like, pilot. I'm like a
Yeah.
pilot. Like you can see the world. You get well compensated for it.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to do 100 hours a week. In fact, you can't. You can only do a certain
You can only
amount.
do a certain amount.
You know what I mean? I was like, I think that, and he was like pilot. And it turns out there's actually, and I'm fingers crossed. I'm gonna knock on some wood right now. You got to get accepted into the program, but there is a high school here that actually has. It's at Rancho High School that actually has like a magnet program that's
Oh, wow.
like an aeronautics school and teaches you like how to fly. Like you get like a learner's permit, like while you're in high school,
Wow.
flying out of North Las Vegas Airport and stuff. So anyway, that one he liked, right? Well, Microsoft Flight Simulator
Flight Simulator.
24 just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
And I thought rather than buy because I mean I have like a MacBook and stuff, but it doesn't run. It's
Yeah.
PC, right? So I'd have to
Yeah.
buy another computer. And I thought for the cost that it would take to buy a computer and build a system, maybe the Xbox version isn't as complex because like you don't have as many inputs and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was like, but it seems like an easier entry point or whatever. So yeah, I went and bought an
dig it.
Xbox yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I
can
mean,
buy
there's
a
always
Flight
something
Simulator.
different about the desktop gaming, like where you have the actual keyboard, you have all those different little buttons, and you can pre-program and you can do all of that kind of stuff. But Xbox, I mean, your graphics are going to be incredible. It has some sort of haptics in the way it
does.
vibrates and stuff like
It
that.
does.
But yeah, that application's been like a gold standard for a long time.
Right.
Like that one's pretty dope.
So yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah.
That's cool.
I don't even, so anyway, I got to go to the mic now. So anyway, he can play that. I can leave him there playing that.
Yes.
I can take the wife out and
I would try to make it because I bet you'll find it romantic that if you try to just do the two of you, and then if she pushes back and says Eli has to come, then you could be like, well, fine, you're not getting any tonight, and she'd be like, okay, just the two of us. But then you could always do it. But I guarantee she would actually. I think she'd be pretty enthralled by you just trying to suggest that it's just the you two of you tonight.
Yep.
But when you brought up the thing I was thinking about, and it was funny because I saw a meme out of it when you were bringing up like, or when I started bringing up the Blu-ray for the Xbox, somebody showed like this old image of like Netflix. You remember the red sleeve envelopes?
oh yeah, when you'd mail them
That
and
you'd
give
have
'em-
to get them, you get them, and then you would have to mail it out. It had the mailer thing, but it had like a DVD and it had like Tyson versus
Oh,
Paul
yeah.
on like the
Oh,
DVD
did it really?
or something.
Oh, that's great.
But I was like, holy shit, how did I forget about the red envelopes? You know, I mean, like it was such
old school.
I know, and it's crazy because it feels old school, but even at the before that, like I remember when Netflix came out, and we were like, "How crazy is this? They're sending us the movies, and then you watch it, and you just remove the little sticker thing, and then you just seal it and you put it back." I was like, "How revolutionary is this? It's the coolest thing ever." And now it's so from days ago that we've kind of forgot about the whole thing. But I saw that red envelope in a picture, and immediately got so nostalgic,
That is crazy,
and it was
man.
just unreal. But I thought it was pretty clever of the Netflix, this person that made the meme to put like the Tyson Paul DVD. The video would have played more solidly had you had the DVD.
Oh my god, we got lucky. So I was watching it in because I'm sure everybody that's a combat sports fan watched that
Yeah.
fight. You had to have.
Everybody that was like a fan of boxing at some point in your life,
Yeah, you watched it.
that.
You 100% watched it. So we watched it. We were actually driving between sites. We had finished one of our events for CFSC Match Day. We'd finished North End. We were driving from North Carolina to New Jersey. We watched it on a phone, and honestly, like our experience wasn't that bad. I'm assuming because with a phone, the image is so compressed or whatever that it's a lot less data.
Yeah.
Because I heard all the we had a
Yeah.
tiny little bit of buffering, but obviously again we're watching on a phone in a car, so we didn't get the nice experience of a big TV or whatever. But so we got lucky in that regards. It wasn't buffered. But I heard it was just a
It
nightmare.
was bad. I mean, like, what was crazy when I talked, so my brother watched it. I think my mom was trying to watch it for a little bit. And they all got to the point where once it started buffering, my internal troubleshooting says, okay, after a while, this is too long. Let me just exit out of it and go back in. I figured that's like what everybody does.
Right.
Some people just stayed on that screen until
Oh,
it came
no.
back.
Oh, no.
And it stayed on that screen forever. And then somebody told me they were at some bar where they had multiple locations of it going on, and one TV was like on round number 2, another was on like round number 3,
Wow.
another was like on the round 4 because they had buffered and reloaded at certain points. I found that once it got to the point where I saw it start to buffering, I backed out of it and went back into it, and it pretty much went back into it. But I probably did that 10, 15 or more times. Talked to my brother. He said it started buffering. He's like, I just turned it off. I went to bed or whatever. So
Wow.
like a lot of people, I think just
Gave up.
gave up on it, as opposed to like, okay, this is not right. Let me just try to troubleshoot it. I think it's for the people that really wanted to see it that kept trying.
Yeah.
And like, let me see if this
That
is going
probably
on.
cost them a lot of viewership then.
Yeah, I
More
mean,
so than we
even
would
though,
probably
they
imagine.
said the 60 million, which regardless of if that number was bigger or less, even if it's somewhat around there, that was huge.
Oh, that's
I
massive.
mean, like the amount of the I thought it was a great undertaking on them to say, I guess as a bandwidth check, to like, how can we possibly host these mega events? Because
Yeah.
if the Super Bowl looks at that and says, "There's no way we're ever going to go on it," like we can't have that happen. I think if anything else, they're going to learn from this and say, "Okay, well, where were the breakdowns? What happened? Where do we increase the volumes? If should we want to get in these sort of things?" Granted, not every event's going to have the interest of this,
Yeah.
but to have it be the first one, me personally, I mean, I think we've seen enough things like this where people have tried new technology or something's kind of got iffy, and it's like, I give the benefit of the doubt and I was like, I know they'll learn from it and it'll get better.
Right.
I know a lot of people that were like, "Oh man, Netflix stop on Monday's gonna go to the shitter." I was like, bro, it's not that serious.
Yeah, get outta here.
Like, one, it was already a crazy fight in the first place, and if you're that upset about it, you probably were just a casual
Yep.
anyways or whatever. I think anybody that was a diehard found a way to watch it and saw enough
And
where
they
then
didn't
you
ask you
caught
to
the
pay
highlights.
anything extra for it.
And you didn't pay anything extra for it.
You
It's
know
like,
what I mean?
are you going to bitch about that? So I think they'll learn from it. I think they had some major hiccups, but I got to give them kudos for the amount of bandwidth that they had to put out, the amount of eyeballs for it to even. It was not perfect. It had problems, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. We've seen servers and other things shut down at a hell of a lot less volume than 60 million plus people. Like, that's bonkers, dude.
Yep.
And that's constant. So even with like me, so if you did like what I did, back out, go back in, go back out, go back in, trying to get it, I'm making new connections the whole time. So I'm making a server request to the website. So I'm actually putting a load onto it
Right.
as well. So that's going on at the same time. So I'm sure there was a lot of that. So you had probably servers thinking, okay, is this a denial of service attack? There's a bunch of people trying to reach it. Am I getting flooded?
Right.
So then you got their own servers that are actually trying to, security servers, making sure that it's legit traffic. And then you got like the actual bandwidth being used to push out and transfer to all these different areas. So good on them for doing what they were attempting to do. It wasn't perfect, but it certainly, in my eyes, think it was a positive, and it does set up the possibility that they could easily handle a UFC event at that scale, because
It's
UFC's
insane.
not getting 60 million.
It's insane when you
watchers.
consider that was, I mean, because I never even considered, but I've heard a few people say that essentially they kind of viewed that almost as just a stress test to see what
Yeah,
they're ready
that's
to
what
do
it was.
to get ready for the NFL,
That's it.
to show what they can do with other platforms. That's one hell of a stress test, and boy, I mean, it
Yes.
generated a lot. I mean,
And to get those sort of numbers.
yeah.
Like that's like Super Bowl numbers. To reach out and say, okay, can we put something, we really want to test it. We need everybody to hit this and hammer it, and everybody was, because
Yep.
it was a perfect test for it. So if that's what Netflix kind of, without saying it, said, yes, we want to get involved with sports. We want to be able to kind of be flashy. We want to get our names behind some people, but we also want an event where we can actually test to see what could happen should we really dive into one of these major sports. This would be the perfect thing, So them getting involved with it, and without saying that,
It's insane.
it's really, really
Smart.
It's really, really smart.
Super smart.
You know?
I am really surprised. I mean, so we won't spend a ton of time talking about the fight. I think if you know combat sports, you knew exactly what was going to happen in that fight.
Yeah.
I am so shocked the amount of people that are just like, what kind of foul play was involved here? You're
Dude,
like,
casinos.
are you serious?
Casinos fucked people up, and I think that's where a lot of fucked up. Like, I was talking to Sean from Full Send. I wasn't paying attention to the odds because I was like, I know it's going to be bullshit anyways. And at one point, he was saying like Tyson was like plus 130 or plus 150 or something. I was like, there's no fucking business of him being plus 100 anything.
Yeah.
He should have been closer to the 500 or something
Easy.
ridiculous. But people are like, oh, it's Mike Tyson, whatever. But by the casinos doing that, they were giving the incentive for people to say, well, shit, that's really close. If it's that close, I'm gonna put money. Put money in there. I'm gonna put money in there. Just taking people's money. It was just shitty. I guarantee a lot of people put on Tyson, because if they would have saw that Tyson was like a plus 750 plus
Yeah,
500.
yeah.
You're
Then
not
they're
going to
like,
put money on it.
oh, yeah, you're right. He's never going to win.
No, they already clearly, and it's just weird because normally the guys the bookmakers that are making those numbers are very, very, they're sharp.
Oh, of course.
I don't know, like it's so weird sometimes because you try not to think like these dudes know something. I think they're very, very good at what they do, and they have a way of sort of just kind of understanding the thing, and they're really good judge of talent.
Yeah.
For them to not properly put this one was shitty. And you can't just say, oh, there was just the money is what balanced it out. That's bullshit.
It's funny because so I don't really bet on MMA, even though like we're not really told we can't. I don't work for a company that says I can't. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It just always felt weird to me. Even we didn't really have a policy when I was working with USA Today or whatever. Like, it just felt weird to me. Like, I cover this. You shouldn't be betting on it. But whatever. But honestly, like, I didn't even think about betting on that fight. But afterwards, it was funny. I was talking to another buddy of mine on the CFFC production crew, and we were like, and he said it first. I'm like, you're so right. He's like, I should have just emptied every dollar I had. Like, that fight, that fight went exactly like it was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, it only had one option of how it was going to happen.
Somebody told me that they heard of some guy that put $300,000 or something on Jake Paul, like an influencer type guy.
Right.
And I was like, dude, and if it wasn't something along the lines, like, remember when Connor one day, I don't know if it was DraftKings or somebody, he's like, I'm going to put $1 million down, but it was like that place's money.
I think Stake is the one that he did it for.
Or Stake or whatever.
I think.
So I was like, if this person was using their own money to put $300,000 on Tyson or whatever, and not some other
just
companies,
some made up,
not some made up whatever,
right?
They're an idiot. They deserve to lose that money. I mean, it was as bad as what we thought it would be, but if anything, the only part that just you could see Jake carrying Tyson, carrying the fight, and to me, that's not. He wasn't. Oh, I just didn't want to hurt him, as he said later on in the press conference. I could tell whatever, bro. Outside of the first couple of throws that Tyson, he stopped throwing.
That's it.
And it was hard to not listen to the commentary, like, because who was it? Roy Jones Jr. kept he's like, what's going on with his legs? He's so stiff, he's not moving. He just kept saying, I was like, all right, I get it, but I was like, it's hard to not look at it, how stiff he was. And
it was
he just
weird
was
that
not moving.
It was weird too that like him and Morrow were basically arguing about like the biting the mouthpiece thing or whatever.
That
and Morrow was
so
like,
crazy.
Champ, Hall of Famer. I don't want to argue with it here, but I've watched it many, many times. Like, it was so awkward. Just like, bro, I've told you 7 times. He does it all the time.
Yeah. What did he say? I have a biting obsession? Fascination?
Fascination with
something along those lines. I was just like, it was weird. But I thought about that. I was like, does he do that to tense up? So, like, if he takes a shot, like, you don't see him just biting things in normal life, but only when he gets in there with, like, the gloves. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Or Vander's ears.
Or other fighters' ears.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something like, if he bites down, almost like if you're tensing up, like if you're something like that, I mean, it's not like you need the cushion unless you could grit your teeth anyways if you have a mouthpiece, but maybe if you have a nice plushy cushion, you don't feel it as much. But maybe by doing that, if they do catch you with a shot, it kind of dissipates it better or something. I mean, I'm sure there was a reason he started biting his glove, outside of just the fact of I really like to bite things.
So weird.
Just so weird. But it just looked funny because there wasn't a lot of movement. There were times where you saw the vintage head movement, but then that was like gone, like after the first round.
A couple seconds.
So then when he wasn't moving,
almost like he was almost 60 years old.
It was almost
like he was nearly 60 years old getting in there.
Then once he stopped moving, all you could focus on was how he was biting his glove because he wasn't throwing his hands. It's like, give us something else to look at. Everybody's focusing on how you're not moving your head, you're not throwing hands, and all you're doing is biting your damn gloves. Like, you got to give us something, so we stopped talking about the gloves.
It was funny. I mean, I walked away from it afterwards just being like, I don't know. I guess I kind of watched it like Floyd and Conor. Like, I was just tuned in to watch some crazy spectacle. You know what I mean? I didn't expect it to be a serious fight, and I thought there was only one outcome. So I didn't. When we got done with the broadcast, I was just kind of like, yep, that's what I expected. And I was like, well, killed a few hours. Like, it's something to do tonight,
Dane at the end in the post was like, when he was asked about the performance, he's like, I was wrong. Mike said that he couldn't do anything to him, and he didn't. And I wonder, like, you could tell he was pulling back, right?
I know. I thought that too.
He didn't try to kill him.
I was like, Dan, you're just trying to be nice with Mike.
I mean,
Mike got mad at you, and you don't want Mike to be mad at you anymore.
I mean, Jake ramped it up a little bit towards the end, but it wasn't like he went for the kill. He never went for the kill mode.
He even admitted it. He was like,
I
kind of took off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Like, all the rounds.
Like all of them. All of them. After the first, I realized there was nothing he could do.
Yeah.
All right, listen. Well, you were in New York. Obviously, there's the fight's a few days in the past, but I guess just want to get your last thoughts on New York. It's us. I got to get out and explore Central Park a little bit. You say you never got to do it.
So beautiful.
Took some nice pictures. I'm telling you what. I've said it before. I'm not the biggest Manhattan guy or whatever, but Central Park is pretty damn cool. Like if you go there and you have time, walk around Central Park.
It was not what I expected. I mean, I think I had seen images in my head, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I thought I was picturing a more gritty, like, park within the city. I thought I was going to see crazy homeless people everywhere. I thought I was going to see something like that, and I didn't see a one. All I saw were, like, happy dogs playing, everybody getting their fitness on. The weather was absolutely incredible. It was early morning, so it was sunny. So maybe late night it's worse in there or something like that. But it was absolutely beautiful. I literally felt like I was transported out of New York, like I was in the middle of
It's amazing.
some country town or something.
Right.
It was so beautiful. And I remember when the Uber drivers made a point. He's like, when you think about a large city of that size, he's like, they should have smog problems, they should have other stuff. But when the guys built this city, they figured out that if we put this giant nature reserve pretty much in the inside, maybe it'll help combat that whole problem. And it works.
That's crazy.
It works.
Yep.
Look at it. I mean, they got a reservoir. They had this nice other little lake in there. It was beautiful. I got like 6 miles in walking.
Look at you.
Like just doing like a walk around the main Jackie Onassis reservoir, and then just kind of cutting back. And next thing you know, my phone's like, "You've done 5.5 miles." I was like,
damn,
that is crazy.
That's awesome.
Just watching dogs playing, like everybody's dogs were playing nice, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, if I lived around there, granted, the cost of living there is bonkers.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful to get to see Central Park. I'd driven around it the other times, but I've never had a chance to go through it. So I was really, really so happy that I got off my ass up early and just went and did it. So I had my like little moment of like, peacefulness right before fight night. And I was like, then we're going to be crammed into a little room and we're all going to be stuck. And even that kind of worked out because we weren't as crammed as we normally were. Normally, that front row to the second row is always very, like, packed. And, like, if you're packed in that front row, you can't move.
Right.
They actually pushed it forward a little bit so you actually could get moving back and forth. So it was like, I felt like I started this today by communing with the universe. And the universe is like, I got you, Kenny.
The universe got some
We're going to take care of you.
More space on press row.
You're going to give you more space on press row. So, so it was great. So it was great getting that. As for the fights that night, I mean, I think everybody realized, the co-main lived up to what we thought it was going to be. That was a fun fight.
Yep.
The main event was great. I mean, there were good fights earlier in the night. But it was just kind of like once you got into the swing of things, I think everybody was so anticipating what was going on at the end of the night that you enjoyed the fights that were going on, but everybody just kind of, I think, was like, can we just get to there?
Yeah.
Can we get through it?
I felt like we missed a couple of like big exclamation points along the way. Like they thought Mauricio Hufi was going to knock out Hamas Yantop, and it was just going to be like devastating early, stuff like that.
The Bo Nickel fight, everybody thought that was one that they were like, we're going to see what's going to happen.
It was, and
it was not what we expected.
It was not. And I'm torn on that. I still, even now, remain torn on it because how can you fault a guy like Bo Nickel that early in his career of having that clean of a performance against an established guy like Paul Craig, right? But that is not the fight anybody wanted to see.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not at all.
It was weird. It wasn't. And I mean, like,
so like I hated the fight, but like what am I supposed to do? Like I can't tell Bo Nickel he has to fight a certain way. Like you go fight and do what you do. It's your job, and guess what? You got the win. You got paid. You stayed undefeated. But I can't imagine a lot of people are like, oh, I can't wait to see Bo Nickel fight again. And I'm not shitting on Bo Nickel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not the fight anybody wanted to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there was more, and plus the build-up of the event. Like, one, we didn't even get into the building for an extra. We were supposed to get in there at 5. They had us, the Secret Service and all that had us waiting outside till like 5:30, 5:40. We're like, the fight starts in 20 minutes. We're still sitting out here. So when they finally started letting us go in, we saw the UFC. They didn't at all. I will tell you, there was this Secret Service agent, this blonde, that was like, after we put our stuff through the thing, she was wanding us. Gorgeous.
You were ready to wand her too?
Oh, dude, she could totally get it. It's funny because it was like unanimous. It was like, did you see that Secret Service there? I was like, once Trump sees this chick, she's gonna be on he's gonna be on the personal team. She was gorgeous though, but she was real funny. She was nice. We were chatting about because I had left my cough drops in my jacket when I went through, and it sent off the metal thing. I was like, what is up with that? She's like, yeah, there's a lot of times there's like aluminum blah 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 that's in the wrappers or yada yada yada. I was thinking it was in the thing. I was like, well, that doesn't do me well. She's like, no, it was in the wrappers or whatever. But I was like, oh, you're smart too. I was like, dang.
Girl, you know your precious metals. And
is that what they teach you there at the Secret Service? Shit. But no, she was beautiful. I was like, damn. But so we had to sit, and normally, all right, so the previous year or 2 years back, remember we had to get in there. There was a fenced off area right next to that side entrance,
right,
where they made us drop off our
drop
bags.
off our
and then
bags, walk away, and the dogs went through.
This was an even wider berth. The fencing was an extra probably 20. I put a picture on. I guess it just showed on our Slack channel. Extra about 25 yards. So the actual fence that we had to wait to cross to get over to the gate was actually right there at the Penn Street entrance to get into the subway.
Right.
So rather than 25 feet or 4 or whatever more, they had this huge wide berth. I mean, we still had to go through like the thing. So I don't know if they thought that, well, just in case there's a rush or if there's a bomb in the bag, be even further from the door or something. But it was crazy because they never actually walked by us with dogs when we were outside of that gate, which I thought they would have did.
Yeah.
So they made us go inside or go to the actual check-in thing to run our bags through the thing, which actually would scan it or whatever, maybe do the bomb thing. So I was like, what was the whole point of having this extra berth? If you didn't do any extra check on the outside of the berth, you just made us wait further away from the spot or whatever. But when we finally got in, I was like, man, what's going to go happen? We're going to be like 20 minutes. And they were like, well, to that, we lost one of the fights, so we're actually going to start like 30 minutes later. And we're like, oh, you could have said something. We're outside bitching because we're not getting in there. And then when we finally get in, you're like, well, this is not happening. And we're like, okay, fine. So it actually all kind of worked out. But I mean, anytime, it is impressive. I will tell you, you've been at events like that where they have extra security presence. When you see like something along these lines where they shut down the streets, you're seeing Secret Service mixed in with the police.
Crazy.
And then the subway already usually has some like armed military looking personnel. Boy, they were out in numbers. You had like the guys, like there was a movie that came out recently, or maybe not recently, where the guys look like all like sort of book nerds with like pencil thin mustaches, but like total dorky nerds, but they're all like fucking killers,
right,
like with their like button up shirts or whatever. Some dudes came walking through, and I looked and I was like, these motherfuckers look like they are like teachers, but I guarantee they will kill you in an instant.
Undercover.
So they got through the thing, and next thing you know, they're pulling up their little flashlights, scoping out the trash cans. I was like, I knew it. I was like, but these motherfuckers look straight out of like science, 9th grade science class, but I guarantee they're all killers, But it was interesting just seeing the full force of like literally Secret Service in plain clothes. I guarantee the other guys were probably Secret Service or another agency, plain clothes, seeing the actual normal suited up Secret Service outside of the other ones. The other ones looked like cops, but they said Secret Service in like their thing. Then they actually see the regular
It always
police.
makes you laugh when they're the Secret Service, but they have their uniforms and their labels on. I'm like, well, it's not really secret there. You know what I mean? Like if you're like walking around, obviously they have all their plain clothes.
Yeah,
but it always makes you laugh. I'm like, it's not a secret anymore. Now you're just part of the service.
That's it. They're not so Secret Service. Yeah. But I guess, but for them, it's probably a badge of honor because when you're in like they're like quasi like military style gear or like riot gear that they can tell their own because on the back it said Secret Service or whatever. But it was impressive. Anytime something like that happened, and I didn't hear it. Now, granted, when you're in the bowels of MSG, you don't really hear the crowd.
Yeah.
But from everything I've heard, and you hear them remark about it on the broadcasts when Trump entered in with that. I'm talking like a who's who of like his oncoming cabinet. The place lost its shit.
100%.
Like it was so loud. And you hear Rogan was talking about it, and Anik, and they were just like, can you hear this in here? We couldn't hear it underneath, but from what I've talked to other journalists that were there, they were just like, dude, it was deafening, like how loud it got. But when you look at the lineup of the people that he brought out with him,
listen,
it was very, very impressive.
I've been saying this since it happened the other night. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. If you're just an MMA fan or been around the sport, like, it's pretty wild to see that amount of powerful people walking into a UFC event. You know what I mean? Like, this is a sport that I vividly remember when people in the government were trying to get rid of it and get it banned. You know what I mean? And so for whether or not you agree with the policies and ideas and thoughts and ideologies of any one or all of the people that were walking in, you still got to be, as an MMA fan, like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was. It's funny when I saw Tulsi Gabbard, because she can get it for sure. She's a badass. She's a big shooter too. But it's funny because once I did an interview with her, with Nolan, and Nolan the other day sends me a text. He's like, isn't it kind of funny how you were kind of quasi flirting with the new director of national intelligence? I was like, that was not. He was like, oh yes, you were. I was like, yeah, you're right. I thought she was cute. So it was kind of funny, but yeah. Yeah.
Great.
So when I saw her coming, I was like, oh, shit, there's Halsey.
Coach Coffee got something for, like, authority girls or something, man.
Yeah, if you can shoot, and you bad like that, I don't mind you bossing me around. What's up?
Oh, that's great, man.
But yeah, I didn't recognize who some of the guys, like, when I watched the walkout, there was a guy right behind him, and pardon me if this guy is somebody big, but like there was Dana, and then there was Donald, and then there was a guy right behind him in glasses that was kind of like, hey, pointing to the crowd, hey. And I was like, who the fuck is this dude? Watch him be somebody very impressive, but it wasn't like Elon or somebody like those guys. You saw Elon, you saw Kid Rock, saw Tulsi, was Arcade with him?
I think he was.
He might have been. But then there were some other ones, and I saw the suit, and I was like, who the heck is this dude? That's just like, he was like, hey. I was like, bro, they ain't not pointing at you. I was like, but I appreciate you getting into it. Look at you
just rolling like it's all for you, bro. Like, just part of the squad, bro.
Can you guys excuse me, Dana and them? Let me take the lead real quick. Let me take the lead.
That's like the 12th man on the Lakers or whatever, you know, the championship parade.
I'll still get a ring. I still get a ring. But yeah, no, it was impressive. But yeah, it was good night of fights overall. It was a good trip. Had some good food. The weather was good.
Nice.
So yeah, all in all, it was good. It was good.
John Jones, pound for pound number one.
You know, I mean, there's going to be a huge debate tomorrow on Junkie, sort of going back and forth. I was surprised when they started taking. I thought we already had him as the number one. I know that there had been people, had talked about inactivity, and so they bumped him down. So I didn't realize in Junkie that we had him at number 5. For me, I had him at 1 at one point. And then if I was listening to the inactivity, I was like, okay, yeah, you really should be inactive to stay at the number 1. Well, he was just active again.
Yeah.
So was it the performance, that everybody's, wanted to see? I mean, it was an impressive performance, but I don't think it wasn't wowing anybody, but it takes 2 to tango. And as much as I love Stipe, Stipe wasn't the Stipe that we thought we would see out there.
Whether it was the time away, whether it was the age, whether it was the matchup. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, definitely time away. I mean, because he had plenty of time to impose and try to throw weapons at John. It just wasn't coming, and so a lot of that I think is just ring rust, maybe just not confident, maybe just, maybe got tagged a couple times. He's like, damn, I don't want to taste that again, But yeah, it wasn't the performance that I thought we'd see, but I think I do blame the time away. That's not the kind of warm-up fight you want coming back in. Not that it was kind of a warm up for Jones as well, but Jones had something somewhat recently before, considering what Stipe had. But yeah, it was. As for if he's the pound for pound, for me, once he became active again, I have no reason to drop him back down. Like if he had a penalty for time away, the time is back in. You check back in. So somebody has to take that away from him. I need more. I need now another performance. I need him to lose. I need something else. So yeah, for me, he's back up at number 1.
It's funny. So he ended up in the official UFC rankings where I vote at number 2, but my particular ballot, I put him at number 1. And it's funny you say.
Who do they have at number 1? Islam.
But
even Islam hasn't fought in quite some time either.
Well, and it's funny. So it is an interesting debate. So I actually had John Jones. It's funny you guys had him at 5. I actually had him at number 5 as well. So going in, I had Islam, Alex, Ilya, Dricus, and then John. Afterwards, I came to the same conclusion. I was like, look, the dude, if you believe he's the greatest of all time, which we both do, if you believe that the only knock on him was that he had all the time away, and that's why I had him so low as well, because you're like, again, I always talk about it, but I have my little spreadsheet that has the last 3 years on it. In the last 3 years, I can look at Islam, and he's got 5 fights. I can look at Alex, and he's got like 10. I can look at Ilya, he's got 5. I can look at Dricus, he's got 6. And it was John Jones 1, and it was Cyril Gane, and it wasn't even around, and so it was. But now when he does this again, and granted it may be an older Stipe or whatever, but it's still the great Stipe, and now he's knocking off these guys and doing quick. I put him back up at number 1. I actually, even though I have disagreed with Dana White up until now, I do agree with him now that he is number 1, because I do think now that he is active, now you still got to take in that full body of work. Like we always say, put the most emphasis on what's happened recently.
Yep.
But you still got to factor in everything that's happened. And if you factor in everything that's happened, add in the fact that he's actually busy again, then I think he's number 1 again.
Yeah, I mean, now the pound for pound should do what the pound for pound is supposed to do, and that is defend and unite the belt, and then see if you are in fact still the pound for pound, or if you're going to lose to Tom Aspinall. And then people will start questioning whether he's the current pound for pound.
If you know he's only got 1 fight, do you want Alex or Tom?
I would like to see. It's tough because I would like to actually see the Alex fight, but I would like to see the unification of the belt.
Yeah,
I would like to see him defend the belt, just for the fact that he's kind of now talked and made these sort of like, I hate saying the word excuses, reasons why he doesn't want to fight him. Now it intrigued me more. Like, yes, we can get the Alex one because you want it, and yes, we think Alex is great, but then you're going to ask Alex to jump up to another division to fight you when you got a guy that's in the division, that's the guy that's been crushing the people that we thought he was going to lose to. Prove us that guy isn't the guy we think he is.
Yep.
And if you are the guy that's saying, I'm the baddest man out there, I am the pound for pound, whatever, then while you should still be able to, pick your shots and whatever, but then at that point, the pound for pound can't duck and can't skip a unification of the belt.
I love that John has a duck as his Twitter handle now.
Did he?
Oh yeah, he's got it's just a duck. It's like a nice little artistic duck with a UFC belt on it, and that's his that's like his Twitter thing now.
I mean, if it's just about money and this has just all been a play for money, fair.
Then he played it right.
Fair game. You're going to get one big, fat, massive money, but I hope Dana sticks to his guns and says the path to Alex Bahia goes through Tom Aspinall first. If you want Alex, unite the belt. He's done the UFC is not doing themselves any favor keeping this interim title out there for no reason except for the fact that your champ doesn't want to fight. At any other point, they would pull from the champ. They would pull it. The champ just gave you the fight that you wanted, that you said that they owed him, that they were promised. That fight is done. If he does not now unite the belt, you need to pull the belt from him, or whether that's John saying, I'm giving it up, I'll vacate it, or whatever. At that point, you duck the number 1 guy. There's no, however you want to say it. If you're walking away from a fight and you're giving up the thing that most guys cherish and are working their butts off,
right,
just so you can get another big payday, you could still get that payday.
Yep. It's funny because normally I don't like it when people say ducking, right?
Yeah.
But with you, I know it's an educated viewpoint, and it is right. It's not that he's scared of Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I think normal when people say he's ducking him, it's like he's scared of him. Like, no, but he is making a business decision, right? You know what I mean? If you made the business decision not to fight that guy, then hey, your reputation may suffer a little bit. Sorry.
I mean, he made his reasons really clear, and I don't think anybody doubts that he deserves to get the biggest payday if he wants. But he's got to understand too. I mean, like, he owes. I mean, people say the guys don't owe you anything, but as the current champion, you are obligated to unite the belt.
This is true.
There is an interim belt out there. There's, like.
What about when John said, it's not my fault there's an interim title. Like, they just made – I love that he said it, too. He's like, they just needed a belt on that Madison Square Garden card, so they made up this interim title.
Well, I mean, out of respect to him, they didn't strip him. Anybody else would have been stripped, and they had to vacate. If you don't fight for the belt for, like, 2 fucking years,
right,
you don't get to keep the belt.
Right.
Like, if it was anybody else but him, it would already been gone. they would have took the belt away from him. So they kept him out of respect and let him keep his thing. So they created this interim one. So if they're giving you the respect to say, okay, we're not going to make you have to do this, we're not going to take your belt, we'll make an interim so that the division can kind of keep moving. You can't then come back and say, well, that's stupid that you made an interim. You should have just stripped me. That would have been better. Is that what you're saying? It's not what you want to say. You know, I mean, like, it is what it is. I mean, he just doesn't like it now because as the champ, it's his duty to deal with that.
Yep.
You know, you can't. It's not like the guy won the number one contender belt. You know, we're like, oh, well, contenders fight the champ eventually. The guy has an interim title. The brand, the organization decided to honor you by letting you keep your belt while you were working through your injuries. The division has to keep going. So now you need to honor the UFC and unite these belts, or just vacate your belt like you want to say. And if you vacate your belt because you'd rather go fight Alex, what if the UFC doesn't give you that fight? Granted, they want the money. They would give him the fight.
Right.
But again, and Alex would take that fight, but then you're putting a whole nother division on hold while he's fighting you. There's got to be ramification for all this like stuff. Things have to kind of keep moving, and we saw this when Conor, and it all kind of started when everybody was like, "Well, I want to fight out somebody else in another division." They started creating this whole, well, let me put my division on hold while I go moonlight in this other division. This all started with Conor when he started like, well, I got this division, but now I'm going to go to another division. I'm going to be the first two division champ. So now you got this. All these champs and these people are like, oh, I could just shift between divisions and fight for the title with no regards to the other guys. And the UFC's allowed it because they know that they're making money. But at some point, you have an interim champ in Tom Aspinall that's been waiting forever and deserves a chance. And he's got a lot of momentum behind him. Like, people, this is not like a guy that people don't like.
No, they like him
people
a lot.
Like
and
Tom Aspinall.
He has played this so well, right? Because from the very beginning, when he first started saying he wanted to fight John, he was incredibly respectful. He's like, I think that guy is amazing. I just think I can beat him. You know what I mean? It's always been that way. There's never been any trash talk. There's never, and so I love. So now when he's like, the closest thing you could say to trash talk, it's not really trash talk, is when he's like, oh, it sounds like you're a little bit scared to fight me, or it sounds like you're scared to lose to me. You know what I mean? Or you're worried you're going to lose to me. It's great because Tom is not talking any trash whatsoever. You know what I mean? It's so great for him to be able to just sit back and be like, oh, you don't want to fight me? Like, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to fight you. I just think I'm better than you. It's beautiful.
He's doing it the right way. And people are gravitating toward him. People love this kid. I mean, but amazing. I mean, by his actions as well. I mean, like you said, he's not coming out and he's not being an asshole about it. I mean, he's putting soft pressure to make it happen. But when he gets in the cage and when he actually performs, he's putting on a hell of a performance. So everybody's endeared to how this fight style. So why wouldn't people want to see this crazy kid that's just destroying these people fight against the pound for pound number one guy? Like, it's meant to be. Make it happen.
It's funny because
get that check. If this is all so that he can get like $100 million, good for him.
Yeah. Then
good for him.
No complaints. You handled it the right way. It's I've been saying all along, and I still believe that if we're just talking about pay-per-view buys and box office draw, I think John Jones versus Alex Pereira is the bigger fight. But I honestly, and I love what you said about, look, you do have responsibility as the reigning champion. Now, he's already said, I'll give it up. I don't care. I'll give that belt up. But I do think the fight that I think most fight fans, real fight fans like me and you that live the sport, that love the sport, that's the fight we want to see. Because to be honest with you, I do think John Jones and Alex Pereira would sell more, but I think it would mean less. You know what I mean? Whereas like John Jones versus Tom Aspinall means more. And look, man, keep putting the microphone on Tom Aspinall. He does a pretty good job of riling people up, and then John Jones gets mad, and you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm wrong about it being a bigger fight, but
right. I mean, because when you think about it, Alex does have this mystique. He has this, he's just this. We know he's funny, but we can't even understand him, but we can tell he's funny. The great thing about Tom, we have two English-speaking guys that can get all across the markets here. So when you think about while I think the people that know about Alex Pereira, they will be excited to see that fight, but people that are just coming in and looking quickly, they're going to want to see the Tom Aspinall because, one, they're going to hear the shit talk that happens when it comes fight week, but then when they understand and they're being told about this fight, they're going to say, well, he's the interim champ, and there's a champ, but the champ doesn't want to fight this champ. Is this kid that good?
Yeah.
I mean, I can almost see when it comes between the two. Me personally, I think the Alex one would be great, and I think it would sell a lot, but I'm maybe not convinced that it would do bigger than Tom, just because of the English factor and being able to go over to
the
UK and everywhere and saw that.
The last second buzz and build up would be way better with Aspinall, right? Because with Pajeda, no disrespect, but I think most of the time when he fights, we all kind of leave the press conference going, eh. You know what I mean? Like, you're excited because you want to see him fight, and the stare down will always be good because he's big and he's, whatever. But you're not going to get that, like, dude, Tom and John, like, just open mics in front of both of them. Like, oh, my. By the way, Tom would probably run laps around him.
When it starts, who knows?
Verbally? John's pretty strong, though.
John's strong. Yeah. John's strong. I mean, I think, because he either gets to a point where he just starts shutting down or he shuts the people down. But, I mean, it would be fun to kind of see them go back and forth.
It would be.
So, I mean,
maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe by the time you got to fight night, maybe it would be bigger. Maybe it would sell more.
I think at one point I thought Alex would be bigger, but I think as I've thought about it and I've convinced myself how they would actually be able to promote the fight and the markets, while, yes, in Brazil, everybody loves Alex, and while people in America are growing and really becoming enthralled with Alex's story, that's because of also the recency. He just fights and then we see him. But when he goes away and he goes off and we don't really hear anything, and maybe he's off in his country, we can't understand what's happening unless it's transcribed anywhere. I think the buzz kind of drops off a little bit.
Right.
Whereas if you have somebody, an English speaker, where, say, if you did happen to catch a social clip and you're able to easily understand it, the buzz can stay a little bit longer. So I don't know. I mean, I think I've convinced myself that a Tom fight would end up being bigger, and it's definitely not of Dana, but I think
myself
it's just,
too. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the build of it now. I think even though he's not the star that Pajeda is, I think I'm actually, and I've been saying this for a long time, that I think that's the biggest fight that can be made. Now maybe I'm thinking it could build up bigger.
I do want to see it. I do want to see that unification. I hope Jones gets the money that he wants and makes that fight happen. I mean, if he gets $100 million, and if you lose, bro, be happy. And then I guarantee Alex would still want to fight him.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're gonna vacate the belt to fight him anyway, say you lose, you think Alex doesn't want to fight him anymore?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
He's still gonna want to fight him.
Still take that.
He'll still take the fight.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win situation. I mean, in that aspect.
And the UFC, and I know it's funny because Dana came out the other day. He's like, oh, well, you know what I saw tonight? There's no reason to make that fight. John's too big and he's too good at wrestling. Bro, since when is that what motivates you to make fights?
Yeah.
What motivates you is that you can't have John beat Alex, walk off into the sunset, and he basically just killed your biggest star, and now you have a heavyweight champion that never got a chance to prove that he's the actual legitimate heavyweight champion. So now, by only fighting one guy, you took the shine off two guys simultaneously, and I think that's the way he sees it, that, we got to have this. And it's either we make a big payday and John does prove himself as the greatest of all time, or, boom, Aspinall beats him. Now we got a new star in our hands. Maybe it motivates John to even come back and try to fight him again to get a rematch with him. Who knows? You know what I mean? So,
because when you put it like that, where he could potentially kill two divisions, I almost don't want to even see it.
Right?
I want to see Aspinall. That's it. I want to see the Aspinall fight.
I love it. All right, well, listen, there is a fight this weekend. It is a weird time. Probably not one that we're going to be watching live, or maybe you'll watch some of it. I don't know. I think the prelims are at midnight our time, and then the main card is at 3 a.m. Pacific. Maybe. I was hosting UFC Unfiltered today with Jim Norton. I don't know if they'll cut this out before they put out the final edit. He was like, well, if you're just staying up doing cocaine, you can just watch all of it. I was like, did you just say that? Is that going to go out on air?
You'd have to have a lot, though, because by the end, when you're almost at the end of all your shit, and then you're like, I can't get it up there anymore, and then I'm still waiting for the final fight. I got to go make a run.
Got to make a run, and then you miss the fight.
I've
heard that's what happens in those situations.
Supposedly. I read that on a bathroom stall, I think, or something.
Oh, to be young again. I'm so old now. My wife.
Things don't smell the same.
My wife. It's ridiculous. My wife texted a picture, or IG story, a picture of us when we were first together in 2007. I'm like,
she did that today?
Holy God, I'm getting old. Yeah.
She wants a romantic dinner. You have to do it. You have to do a decent dinner. Take it. You go big. Go to one of your favorite steakhouses that you guys like.
Nico's?
Sure.
That's so expensive.
Go to there's this place called Outback. Or I might even have a food coupon, or like what do you call those? Texas Roadhouse. You like Texas Roadhouse?
Texas Roadhouse is great.
I like Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse
I have a bunch of
quick chain
those
steaks. It's not the best
Yeah.
thing, but it's not bad.
My mom used to go through this phase of like every Christmas because she would buy these food gift cards because you can get like fuel points or whatever. So she would always send me these Texas Roadhouse. I think I have probably like $200 worth of things in there.
Get out of here!
I'll give you a couple if you go to Texas
I'm not
Roadhouse.
taking you. You need to go to Texas Roadhouse.
I always forget about it because it's like 25 minutes away. To me, that's like an hour away.
Yeah, the closest one's over in Henderson.
It's over in Henderson.
Yeah.
But it's funny. She sent me one once that the place didn't even exist in Vegas. I was like, Mom, you're just sending me random shit now. Did I tell you what? She sent me a Domino's one because I was like, send me things I could use. She's like, okay. So I remember she sent me a Domino's one. I was like, all right, cool. You sent me a Domino's. And I went to use it, and it was like half used. I was like, Mom, you sent me your used Domino's one.
Like, yeah, I didn't like it that much, so I knew I wasn't gonna order from there again. So here's $7.32.
Yeah, it was so random. I was like, I went to pull it up because I thought it had like $25, and it said it was like, dude. It was like $9 or something. I was like,
did you give me a $9.17 gift card? Like,
I was like, Mom, are you getting up there in age?
Bro, you know what happened to my mom? Man, shout out, knock on wood. I wish my mom would come out here. She lives by herself in Dallas still, but a car hit her house.
Oh shit!
Yeah, like plowed into her garage. Actually, like busted through the wall. My mom's house. She lives in an older house. There's like it's nice brick. You know what I mean? Like they plowed through it. Hit her car. Did damage to her car because it was parked in the garage. And
holy cow!
Yeah, fortunately, because my mom like works in the garage a lot. She likes to like refinish like antiques and work on little stuff, or whatever. She's out there a lot. Unfortunately, she wasn't, but she sent me a picture the other day. And so, like, she's having to deal with that right now. I guess, like, the insurance is taken care of. I mean, fortunately, like, there's not, like, any argument over fault. Like, you were just sitting there and somebody plowed into your house. But, yeah, man, crazy to see that. Like a car halfway into her house and bricks collapsed all around.
What was the deal with the driver?
Supposedly, this is wild, actually. So, supposedly, she said that it was a woman and that she said – No, said you're so bad. You're so bad.
Please continue.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though. That was good. There was a woman driving, and I guess that there were because my mom lives on a very busy street. If anybody knows South Dallas, she lives on Hampton, which is like the main thoroughfare. They go, why would anybody know DeSoto other than me? But if you happen to be from DeSoto, Texas,
Hampton,
you know what I mean? It's Hampton Roads, right? It's the main thoroughfare. But anyway. So there were witnesses that saw it, but I guess the woman in her police report said that her boyfriend was in the car and they were arguing because they were trying to break up or something.
Oh, jeez.
And the guy grabbed the steering wheel, supposedly. But here's the deal: none of the witnesses saw a boyfriend. None of the witnesses saw a dude flee on foot or anything. So, and this was weird too. My mom said that that they didn't like sobriety tests, like drug tests. I mean, I would think like that should just be like standard course, right? Like if you drive a car into a house. You should be tested. Like,
I think the boys in DeSoto need to step up their game.
They're like,
these good old boys are like,
man, we got a busy day today. You know how much paperwork that is.
She said there was a man in the car that pulled the steering wheel. So
they're like you.
That's how they talk.
They're like, we're not that southern. They're like you.
We trust her.
They're like, woman driver. Case closed.
and her made-believe boyfriend. Well, that sucks. Well, I'm glad she's okay. That's scary.
It's crazy,
that's
man.
crazy.
Yeah, think about parents. Maybe think she's good. I've been checking in on her, making sure. I guess they said the insurance has been good, and they're getting contractors out, and they're like starting the construction process.
Does they have Texas Roadhouse? Maybe I'll send her
little Texas Roadhouse from Mr. Coffee. Yes. She always asks how Mr. Coffee's doing. Supposed to know how Mr. Coffee's doing. So anyway, we were talking about the UFC this weekend. I will not be watching it live. I'll just be honest. I'll wake up and watch it. But big main event. Look, there are some intriguing matchups on it. I think if you look at the card closely, you'll see that stylistically there's some fights that could be very entertaining. A lot of road to UFC finals, so there's probably some names you're not familiar with. But if you look at the matchups of the ones you are familiar with, I think there's going to be some fun fights. But a very meaningful main event between Pierre Dion and Davison Figueiredo. It's funny. I don't even think we ended up talking about this on the air day. We were talking about before we went on air about the bantamweight title picture right now and kind of how it works out because you got Sean O'Malley in there and Marav's talking about a rematch, but O'Malley's hurt for a while, right? So you got Umar, which is going to happen. But I'm sure. I mean, Merab and Umar would be a phenomenal fight, but I'm sure Merab knows as a businessman that if I wait for Sean O'Malley, that's probably going to bring me a few more dollars than a fight with Umar. And, so anyway, we'll see how it all plays out. But I figure this is maybe a number one contender fight. At worst, the winner will have one more fight.
Yep.
It's really going to be – I mean, we're going to know if – I mean, to be honest with you, I already feel like we know. I feel like Devson Figueiredo absolutely belongs at bantamweight. He is just as good at 135 as he was at 25, if not better. And he's a legitimate contender, and this should be a fantastic fight. So I guess, did you have a lean on this? And let's get the picks update. You're one behind.
I'm one behind
with a month to go.
And I mean, I was torn on this one. I went Jan, and I was like, I don't know why, because I don't know if he's really showed that he's still the guy that we remember him to be, and it feels like Davison has just been crushing people. I almost feel like I'm waiting for the Davison of old where he's kind of messes up his weight and he doesn't perform how he should to show up, but it's like the one that's been showing up is great. So Farah, who is in the lead with one, she picked Davison, I picked Jan, so that right there could either
a tie or two off.
But because we're getting down the crunch time now. There's like only like one more event, I think. One, maybe two more events.
We got two more UFCs after this, right? Because you got December 7th and December 14th.
That's it.
So you got and then.
So she's either going to make a gap on me with this one, or
you're going to be tied going into the final.
Or be tied, maybe going into the final couple ones. But yeah, I'm torn on this one. I mean, I there's part of me where I'm like, I'm not completely 100% either way. I do feel like Davidson's fighting really, really good right now. Maybe I just think that the Peter Yan that we thought at one point, who was a legit, champ / contender, will show back up. I thought his last fight looked good, but boy, I still feel like it can go either way.
I do too.
It's tough. I don't know. I was trying to justify in my head. I was like, the Brazilian's not in a familiar area. He's going to have to do some traveling. Maybe the weight cut will be rough on him, because he's a big dude. I was like, all right, there might be some variables that kind of play out. And I was like, maybe this will be one of the ones where Jan's kind of able to get in there and just sort of work him to the ground and maybe just sort of hold him for 5 rounds.
I had not seen the line for this. Jan is minus 300?
I think that must have went up. I don't think he was 300 when I saw.
Yeah,
he was a slight.
Gone up.
He was a slight favorite when I first saw it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm actually really surprised by that.
I think that I did, and I never do this, but I did look at the odds before I made my pick, and that probably did sway me a little bit.
Swayed, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like you got the right play with that kind of line. I'm really surprised to see it's that separated, to be honest with you.
Unless they're just trying to make up some money. They're like, hey guys, here.
Well, you've got 2 UFC events. Still got the PFL championship to go there. So
I hate picking those.
That could be a lot of them as well. In that case, you guys, I don't know if you use the. There's still the end of year one, right? They're still supposed to go to Japan at the end of the year, I think. I don't think they've canceled that yet.
I don't know if who, the UFC?
No, PFL.
PFL? Oh yeah, I'm not sure.
By the way, it's a quick PFL mention. I feel like. I mean, I've been busy today. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I feel like most of the news, obviously it was announced today that it's now called the Road to Dubai Champion Series.
Yeah.
So, by the way, the
PFL just came out with.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because it looks to me, if you look at the branding, that they're just going to call it Road to Dubai Champion Series. But then it's the Bellator lightweight title in the Road to Dubai Champions. I don't know. They're still trying to figure out this whole brand thing. I mean,
as opposed to Bellator European Series.
Exactly.
Or whatever it was
I mean,
called.
look, it's a good. By the way, I mean, phenomenal fight. Never gonna made off. And Hughes, boy, they're throwing Hughes out there. They're rushing that man to the top. But good for him, man. He's getting his shot right away. So Usman and Paul Hughes will go at it. But look, I think that's a great start to a card. I think it's a great fight. It's cool. It seems like this is a good thing for them. That, I mean, they're partnering with partnering with Dubai. I mean, another financial backer.
I was gonna say money. They continue to find these pockets of money. I think for I don't know how many years have we been like, man, when's the money gonna run out? When's the money gonna run out? And they continue to keep thriving and going to these new areas. It'd be interesting, but I think even then, I mean, I think we've seen that the money eventually people start wearing out if it's not getting. Because I think for a while there we were the Turkey over with the boxing and all these events. I don't think he was getting some of the turnout. So I think even at some point there,
They're like,
you'll
hey,
see
hold
that
on.
money kind of pull back because at some point they want return or whatever. So maybe Dubai will give it a shot, see how it goes. But I mean, they're going to have to do some numbers and get some real sort of push behind it, I think, if they want to see it kind of continue. But good for them to kind of keep doing things and pushing. I'm always amazed because it just always seems like they spend a lot of money in a lot of areas, and I don't hear or see like as much buzz about the events that you do, say from like the UFC and other ones. But good on them to keep doing it, and the fighters are, I think the fighters are happy. I've never heard a fighter complain and at least say like that they're not treated well at the PFL.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't run as efficiently as like the guys that have done time with the UFC and stuff like that. But from what I hear, the fighters are happy over at PFL. So I mean, if that's the case,
Oh,
I wish them the best. I hope they keep doing big events and keep going because they're paying. There's still a viable option opposite of the UFC. I mean, we've said that for years and years. The more other organizations that are out there sustaining themselves and giving an option for these fighters to make a career, the better.
Yep.
So I'm glad that they found some more money. I hope it works out. But again, if it's like things like this where, like when we're seeing the UFC event over in Macau, if it's broadcasting at a time where you're not going to hit a large portion of your market, you're going to have to make those adjustments. Hopefully you want to kind of do things when people can watch it. I know when they did a lot of the stuff over in Bellator over in Europe or whatever, we couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
We're like,
that was bad.
We're like, this is really
That was
weird. So
really
what's
bad.
the point of like introducing something if we can't see it? So
They dropped
hopefully
the ball on that.
they work that out for like this road to Dubai and be interesting because I think a lot of these visits that these places go, it's the first glimpses or some of the only glimpses people see of these countries, and when they're able to broadcast it and show some of the country, it is a great advertisement for the country. So I mean, I hope it works out well. I hope they put it at a time that we can still see it here in the States. And
yeah, I saw that
the
they announced that the championship, which is next Friday, the 29th, Black Friday, the day that they're trying to own on the calendar, it is during the daytime. It does start early. I want to say I think the prelims start maybe at like 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. here.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's okay.
That's not bad. I mean,
the
because
3 o'clock shit, 3 in the morning.
you can't see that.
This is why we've said it before and before. Like the UK fans
Bro.
and people in the
Savages
that watch the UFC at those crazy hours are about as diehard and need as many pats on the backs as they can. Like it is brutal what these guys do, and they eat it up like a fucking champ and just do it over and over again. So I almost feel bad bitching about oh, don't make me get up at 3. They're like, bro, that's normal for us.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Shut up! You got to do it once. I got to do this every Saturday. You
like,
jackass.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up. So that's cool.
That's so true.
I
All
like
right.
the morning ones.
Well, listen, morning MMA coming up, a lot going on. By the way, I'll just say it out there. Next Tuesday, it'll be Tuesday evening, CFFC Match Day will be on. So if you want to check out some Division I college wrestling, it's going to be a very big, I should say, duel in Heartland, Wisconsin, Arrowhead High School between Northern Iowa and Missouri. A couple of reigning national champs and former national champs will be on the card. Ben Askren is actually playing host to it. I will not be on the call for it because I will be in the production truck working on the graphic side of it, production side of it, which I actually really enjoy doing. So as much as I love calling the matches, which I do, obviously I still get to call the fights. We still got an MMA event coming in December. We still got a grappling bout coming in December as well. I actually really do like the production side, man. It's fun.
It's fun.
I really
and
enjoy
you're getting some other skill sets, and other little things. Is there a website where somebody can track like the match day, like the schedule, all that stuff?
It's CFFC.tv. You can check it out right there. Yeah,
there's trying to look to a search, but my internet's being internet.
Yeah, check it. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for helping me out there. Yeah, plugging that. CFFC.tv. You can check it out there. There's if you check out the section, there's D1 college wrestling. We've got all our different matchups there, our different arts, I should say, and event types in there. But you can see the full schedule on there. You can also see like past results and previews of every event, like kind of what to watch. I'm trying to make sure people kind of know what they can look at, who's got a big opportunity. We had some great ones this past week.
Are they gonna do anything more with like Big Ten schools?
Big Ten, we've got Iowa coming up very soon,
Iowa?
actually. Yeah, we got Iowa.
Legit.
Huge. December 6th. We got Iowa coming up. We got them against Princeton and Army. I'm trying to think if
I was going to smoke them. Iowa's legit.
Oh, Iowa's insane. I mean,
I don't know about Princeton. I mean, maybe Princeton's got a really good team.
Princeton's an up-and-coming program. We actually just had them this past weekend against NC State. By the way, NC State in the ACC, they're good. They've had 6 straight ACC titles. They're really, really good. They picked up wins against Princeton and Rutgers. The Princeton one they won pretty handily. The Rutgers was a lot closer contested, but it was a good matchup.
Hopefully, I'll see Tom Ryan and the Buckeyes up there one of these days.
That'd be great, man. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see it. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, I got to scramble now. I realize I have made a horrible judgment error in my plans.
You
for
need
the evening,
to
so
make them.
I thought, and I fell for it, and I know better. If I was on the outside looking in, I'd be like, no, brother, don't fall for it.
Maybe just set something tentative up here, so when you go back home and say, then you surprise her where you've already done the work.
Oh, I was just joking the whole time.
I was kidding.
I was
like, is this done? Because we got plans at 6. Just something smooth like that.
I like that. I called your kids and I canceled the appointment tonight. There's no tutoring, but then I didn't really. We just won't be there.
Yeah, like the kids. He's got an Xbox. Just go play. Don't tell your parents.
Don't tell your parents.
Today's study is flight education.
Eli, you're in charge. All right. When the kids show up, just tell them to shut their mouth, sit down and play video games, and don't say nothing to nobody.
That's it. Or you're gonna jujitsu them.
So jujitsu. All right, I gotta go. I don't want to mess up. So yeah, happy anniversary to my wife. She doesn't listen.
That's awesome.
That's why I can plan these things out on the air. So I'm getting old. All right, we'll have a and a half episode over at patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow. Obviously, it'll be a little later in the day. I'll wake up afterwards and we'll check out the show, watch it in highlight form, and then we'll get it all together for everybody. Appreciate everybody's patience this past week. This past week was a crazy weekend. I was running, but we got it done.
Busy man.
Busy man. Loving it. All right. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm gonna go fix this. I gotta go figure it out. Thanks for listening.